Hello everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Danny here. Today I'm talking to you about Shigahime. So Shigahime, or Corpse Fang Princess, is a psychological horror monthly manga written and drawn by Hirohisa Sato with 31 chapters, and this was published in Comic Zenon. Nothing of note in this series other than maybe it was like a spinoff or something for Fist of the Blue Sky. And that's like the prequel series for Fist of the North Star. So it's a monthly manga. It starts off with our main character, Soichi Tachibana. And he's your typical, I guess, depressing main character. Or, I mean, I don't want to say nerdy because he's not really like that. But he's your classic trope of where his living conditions are not the best at home. Constantly getting bullied at school. And just really doesn't show a lot of emotion. He's just so numb to the daily life that he goes through right at home and at school. So one day, one of the bullies sees him outside of school and says, "Yo, man, what are you doing out here?" And, give him the shit. And then Soichi says, "Well, hey, man, there's this woman over here at this mansion, and if you're down, she wants to have sex." And these are like freshmen in high school or something. And of course, he's just like, "Oh, bro, I know we fucked you up, but you know what? You're not a bad guy. Let's go." So they go. Things are getting there, and I'm thinking like, how are we gonna play this out? Next thing you know, as she's behind him, boom, stabs him right in the back, rips out his heart, gives it to Soichi. He puts it in this juicer, like those hand crank juicers, and pours it into Miwako's mouth to consume, because we find out she is of what's later to be known as blood race. But it's basically just a vampire, right? They don't specifically mention it, but, they say like, oh, we've had many names before, but we go by blood race mainly. As we go further into the story, he somehow convinces this other character, Hirota, who just got a girlfriend, Chika. He somehow convinces him to go to the mansion. Miwako's there. She's getting ready to kill Hirota. Notices he's wearing a bracelet, and he has a lot of fear in his face. The significance of the bracelet is that his girlfriend Chika also wears one. By coincidence, before they dated, they were wearing matching ones, and so it's something important to him. She sees this emotion and fear that's emanating from Hirota as he's getting ready to die. She decides, you know what, it's time to have fun with this character, so she ends up killing Soichi, and he's very confused as to why, but as the faithful servant he is, still tries to feed him her heart, or try to feed her his heart. Things go crazy. Hirota's trying to leave. Miwako ends up grabbing him and biting him, infecting him, turning him into a familiar. And of course, like classic familiar lore, they're servants to vampires, ghoulish-like creatures, not really full vampires. And we could see that here with the grotesqueness of his appearance. He's got the white straight hair, gnarly nails and teeth. The skin gets dry and cracked, truly looking like a monster. So a lot of things happen, and eventually Hirota has to get to the decision of, okay, I'm going to have to serve Miwako, because not only do I want to become a human again, but she's also has Chika's life in the palm of her hands. And so now he has to serve her by obtaining blood and hearts to feed, because, as a vampire, it's really their only source of nutrients. Yeah, that's the main premise. I mean, there's a lot more to go into, but, I'm going to keep it spoiler free for you guys, because I do think this is worth checking out. Yeah, so let's just get right into it, man. The writing is fantastic. This mangaka knows how to play these character tropes very well, and they're all pretty by the case, like pretty generic, what you would expect from this type of series. Like I said, Soichi is the typical character who's always bullied, no emotions emitting from him. Chika is the girlfriend that seems very plain, but she's very wholesome and captures our main character's feelings in a certain way, similar to how in Gantz, with our boy who's dating his girlfriend, Sei, she's a pretty plain girl, but because the way she is, he doesn't want to let go of that. And then of course Hirota is our main character, human turned monster. He's trying to keep his sanity and his humanity alive, so that way he could, at the end of this journey, come back to the human world. And then Miwako, of course, is the alluring, mysterious woman who has a lot of secrets, a lot of stuff to show, but definitely reminds you who's in charge at the end of the day when needed. All that stuff is played very perfectly in this interesting story. And my only complaint with the writing is that this series was not long enough. 31 chapters for a monthly series, that's pretty good. And I thought this is going to be a good short story. I could use some of that right now. And especially with horror, because I haven't read horror in a while. But as we were getting more into the story and expanding more into the lore of what these blood races are and possibly what could have been Miwako's plan with Hirota, because as we find out, familiars can have their own unique weapons from their body, and that just makes them look more monstrous. It's so gruesome. It's really good character design for the familiars, because we do see more later down the line. And explaining about its abilities and the purpose and what you can do with it, it started to make me think, we're gonna be going more probably of a shonen route. I could see that as a possibility of our hero tackling challenges and going in, learning, growing stronger as a character, but also understanding Miwako more as a character. Because there was one point early on in the story where Hirota was having conflicting emotions when it came to Miwako. Is he falling in love? Is he just shocked? Is, what's going on? And then, of course, Chika's still there too, so there's so much going in his mind, and I thought we were going to explore that further, but, it pays off at the end just a little bit, as whatever the interpretation can be with the last chapter, concerning Miwako anyways. But sadly, we don't get to go as far as we want with that of Hirota, doing all this other stuff. Instead, the story tries to stay self-contained for the most part, involving our 4 main characters, and basically how Miwako is more or less controlling this story. She's like the puppeteer, but not really in the forefront of it, right? She sort of plants the seeds that will eventually wound up and bloom into what the aftermath is by the end of the series. So it's really good, man. Like I said again, all the characters are really played out well. You could really feel the emotion, and especially with the art style. When we see the monster side of things for the story, that's really great. Even just the facial expressions that our characters can get whenever they're, sad, angry, what have you, really sells what we're trying to do here for the story. This was a very refreshing series to read. It's been a long time since I read a horror manga. And, it's sure in nature there's a lot of horror, but I think just the fact that it's a seinen, a lot of the themes here are mainly sort of in the background, and this is more heavy set on the seinen side of things when it comes to what's going on with our characters and all that. And as much as I wanted it to really go further, and then we could have actually had some major arcs or even just flesh things out more, because we get more lore when it comes to Miwako and who she is and a little bit of her background, and I really thought we were going to see more of that. But I think because the series was so focused on just our 4 characters, Miwako, Hirota, Chika, and Soichi, you really shouldn't try to stray too far from that. And especially with the way it was building up, the pacing was really fantastic with that. And it really felt natural. And it was one of those things too, is who do you even root for at this point? There's a lot of that in the air. Of course, Hirota is our main character, and you want to root for him, but then, things start taking a turn, and your thoughts are getting wavering about this character. And then meanwhile, we see other characters like Soichi and Chika, and then how they change. And it's really about the play of human emotions. That's what the mangaka is trying to sell on us here, is how drastic can a person change based on one instance in the series. And I thought that was really good, man. And Miwako, she really doesn't do much, but like I said before, the mangaka plays these types of character roles well, and when she actually can come in and do something, it was really good. And the ending of the series with her and Hirota, I thought it was great. I did think it was going to go somewhere else. And I mentioned it earlier about, the wavering things that Hirota had when it came to Miwako and Chika. And I thought it was going to go a certain way at the end. But it didn't, and the decisions Hirota made I thought were great for what it was. And, you know, it's kind of left a little open-ended, and then we just get a flash forward and we just see the cycle of Miwako's quote-unquote game just start over again. But of course, we don't see what's going on. We just see her for the finale. And I thought that was a good touch to have it go, because now it's really just up in the air. Her being a vampire, we don't know how long she's been doing this. So I don't have much else to say, but definitely go check it out, man. Like I said, it was a nice change of pace for me. That's all I have to say, guys, for Shigahime. If you have any questions or comments, you can go ahead and send us an email, onversepodcast@gmail.com. Are you one of the very few fans that have read this? I've tried to look online for some stuff, but I really haven't seen a lot of things. So I would love to hear your opinions if you read the series before. And of course, we could talk about that on the next episode, as always. And while we wait for those episodes, you could follow us anywhere on social media, Onverse Podcast, let you know when those episodes drop. So thanks, guys, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Late night shadows on the wall, I'm boxed in, guard hair like fuck skin when I dropped in. No need for optics or options, low caution, lose focus. I'm caustic and hopeless when I poke the chakras and get woke when the flow hits. Toenails split from both of those kicks. Grip my head and downplay the itch. Too many lightsabers crushing my skull to bits. But I float all alone and toe gone. Stay above ground because I don't know which road to go on. Word is bond up crafting on the late. Vaughn always wonder if the kitty got 8. And now I'm here to answer that and snap up cats who move on tracks and fall so flat because I'm sick of it. Claiming your lyricist when all you got is the cash and fist. That ain't talent, but I'll admit it's power. Cypher every hour, devour the written medium. But if it's off the dome, let me know if you're feeding him. Looking hungry now, I'm fucking sick of you and feeding him. I'm worried that I thought not is concrete and sealing him. But if you so choose to begin the healing it, bittersweet notes, logical goals, and perhaps reasoning. You can coax him out the shout for a minute, but the cracks still hide what emotions diminish.